In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 2 habits that will truly change your vibration and raise it to a very high level permanently. Okay, if you exhibit these behaviors again and again and again, if you really develop them and engrave a habit and imprint them onto your soul, then it will be inevitable for you to raise your vibration and create a life that you want, to consciously move in the direction towards your desired destiny rather than subconsciously be reverting to habits that are not in your best interest, that are not serving you in the evolution of yourself. Okay. Now, the first habit can be best explained through a story. So, when I was 19 years old, I was in university and I decided to do a year abroad in the UK, okay, in the United Kingdom. And if you are aware of the education system over there, it's basically all centered around the final exams, which means that you can basically mess around the whole year and still end up getting a good grade if you pass your final exams, okay? So during this time, I'm like, okay, I'm out here right now in Europe and all the countries in Europe are right next to each other. I wanted to go out and travel. So I make a plan with my cousin to go out and travel to Amsterdam. Okay, it's the first time that I would be traveling without my parents, without adult supervision, whereby I would go to a new place, new city, new country really, where I don't know anyone, haven't been there before, and to really explore this new area of the world. Okay, so I booked my tickets, I booked my plane ticket, my hotel, my hostel actually, and last minute my cousin decides to bail on me. He's like, yo, my dad doesn't allow me right now, so good luck. So over here, I am at a crossroads where either I take this trip by myself or I give up my tickets and just don't go. And the problem that I was facing at that point was that I identified as a person who was introverted, who was shy, who was not good at meeting people, who was lacking confidence. And all of these traits were actually something that I associated with my identity, which would have made it so hard to go out and travel and take this trip by myself. Okay, luckily I decided to take the trip by myself, and I remember I was sitting at the hostel and I was like all by myself, and I was, I wanted to go and talk to people, but I had this identity that was holding me back from actually doing it. So I remember there was a person sitting over there next to me, and I was like going through the motion. I'm like, should I talk to him? Should I not talk to him? Should I talk to him? Should I not talk to him? And just with a lot of effort, I went out and said hi to him. Okay, I asked him where he's from. It was a short conversation, but I got through it knowing that I'm okay and it doesn't matter that I went out and opened conversation with someone. Then the next person, I put in a lot of effort and then I go talk to him. And then the next person, it was like a little less effort and the conversation was longer. It was more flowing. And the next person and the next person, and on it went, to the point where I cultivated such an abundance of flow, of conversational flow, of ease with myself, that by the end of 7 days, I had connected with more people than I had in my entire previous 18 or 19 years at that point. Okay, so that trip really made me realize that who I thought I was not who I was. Okay, understand that you are, by a large part, obviously there's a part of you that is nature, that is genetic, right? There are tendencies that you have which have been imprinted into your genetic code, which is not changeable. But then there is an aspect of you that is conditioned by the environment, okay? This whole new science of epigenetics is telling us that the control of the gene, a large part of it comes from outside of the gene itself. It comes from the environment, okay? So when I was in Amsterdam, even though I identified as someone who was introverted, who was shy, I put myself in this new environment, which I was not exposed to before. And because of that, it was a stimulus for me to literally express different genetic code. I was literally a different person by the end of that trip, because of during that trip, it gave me complete insight into who I am as a complete, changeable and evolutionary capable organism. Okay, so because I identified myself as someone who was shy, introverted, not good at meeting people, that became my identity. It played out again and again and again. But when I put myself in a different environment, then I was able to experience a side of myself which I hadn't experienced before. I didn't know it at the time, but epigenetic changes were actually taking place. Okay, think of your genetic code like the keys on the piano. You're not going to change the keys. The keys are the same. But your epigenome, the epigenetic code, the genes that are being expressed, is the song that is being played, and that is largely determined by your environment. Okay, so if you are currently in the frame of going through the same motions again and again and again, you feel like you can't break out of it, then changing your environment will help you get out of the frame so that you can look and see what's going on. Okay, you can't see the picture when you are in the frame. All right, you can't read the label when you are in the bottle. You have to get perspective on yourself, and the best way to do that is by changing your environment, by developing the habit of putting yourself in new environments so that you can continue to expand and explore and create different aspects of yourself, and as a result, raising your vibration. Okay, your vibration is a combination of how you think, how you feel, and how you act. And these aspects of yourself will completely change. Different expressions will take place when you change your environment, when you expose yourself to a new stimulus that will literally cause different genes of yours to express. Now, I didn't know it at the time about epigenetics and how the environment influences to such a large extent of who we are. But that trip to Amsterdam really shifted my identity in really questioning whether who I think I am is really who I am, or whether my identity is completely malleable and changeable based on which environments that I put myself into. Okay, so if you make the habit of constantly expanding your comfort zone and putting yourself into environments that challenge you, putting yourself into rooms with people that are much smarter than you, then it will completely change your vibration. It will definitely elevate you to a point where you can get perspective on where you were and then get intention and clarity in terms of where you want to be. Okay? Now, the second habit that will raise your vibration is explained through the process of neuroplasticity. Okay? Neuroscience tells us that the brain cells in our head, our neurons, are completely like plastic. They can rearrange themselves, and they do so in reflection to the experiences that we had. So of course, when I went to Amsterdam, there was a certain series of situations that took place in my brain whereby these experiences, which I hadn't had before in my life, were causing new neural pathways to go and construct. Okay, so there was a series of neuroplastic changes going on in my brain. My genetic code was changing as well. So I was literally becoming a different person. I was literally changing my vibration. Okay, but the fact is that when we are going through the motions, when we are caught in the cycle of destructive habits, when we know what to do but we don't do what we know, that is because our brains cells, our neurons, have wired themselves in a way which is in reflection to the experiences that we have had in the past. Okay, so every experience that you have in the past has a certain number of neural connections in your brain that are in reflection to that. So to a large point, your brain actually becomes a record of the past, and it just keeps repeating that same cycle again and again because that is the only thing that it knows. Okay? So the real habit to develop over here is to become future oriented so that your brain can let go of this attachment to the past and become a map to the future. Okay, so if you can really narrow down on what your ideal vision looks like, get clarity on who you are as a person, what type of person has to be living the ideal vision which you seek to create, right? Who do you have to be? Who do you have to become? How do you feel every single day? What time do you wake up? What do you do? What don't you do? Really paint a picture of clarity in terms of what you want your future to look like, and just become obsessed with the future. Orient yourself with the future rather than being caught up in the past and being caught up with how things were. Okay, imagine how things can be for you. Paint a picture of clarity for yourself in terms of how they can be. Paint the picture in your creative imagination, write it down, and just remind yourself of that every single day. Become obsessed with the future that you are creating in result of what you do right now. Okay, the more you paint this picture in your head, the science has shown that we can literally rewire the neural patterns in our brain in response to an experience that takes place within our imagination. Okay, they've done experiments on basketball players whereby they make one group like practice, like actually go and practice, the other group visualize a practice, and the visualization group actually shows a lot of improvements, and they literally show the plastic changes within their brain. It's the same with musicians when they practice the piano in the flesh, or whether they practice in their creative imagination. Through the creative imagination, they are able to rewire the network of brain cells within their neural circuits. Okay, so those are the 2 habits that will totally raise your vibration to a new level. And if you consistently engage in the process of putting yourself into new environments, it doesn't have to be travel, it can be with new people, it can be with reading new books, exposing yourself to new ideas, just going through experiences which you haven't had before, putting yourself into environments that will cause different genetic blueprint to be expressed. Okay, and the second thing is to orient yourself with the future that you seek to create. Really paint a vivid picture of where you want to be. Imagine what is possible for you. Imagine who you would be to create the future that you seek to create. And if you just do these 2 things, you will totally transform your life at every single level. Okay, my greatest fear right now is that I'm creating these videos right now and you are using them as a replacement for porn. Okay, a lot of guys that watch my channel, they are addicted to pornography. They're coming off and getting off it right now, but you're just switching one masturbation with another. Okay, you're switching masturbating to porn to this mental masturbation where you're exposing yourself to new ideas, but you're not actually doing anything with them. Okay, so if there is an action step that I would want you to take right now, is to just get very clear on what your ideal vision looks like. Write it down. Write down who you are as a result of the future that you seek to create. Write it down, paint that picture in your head, and practice it every single day. Okay, if you practice that, I really hope that this can be transformational content for you rather than just informational content. Okay, rather than just mental masturbation, this is something that is causing a transformation in your life. Okay, leave a comment below and letting me know if you're actually going to do this. And right, I commit to creating a future. I commit to becoming obsessed with my desired future and reminding myself of that every single day. Okay, leave a comment below letting me know about that. But with all that being said, let me know if you want to see any other videos from me, any particular topics. That would be great as well. This channel is about you. This channel is about creating the content that will facilitate the transformation in you. Of course, it helps me a lot in getting my ideas out there as well, improving my speaking skills, really getting clear on what I seek to do as well. So with all that being said, this has been Mo, and I'll see you in the next video.